First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Some Kentucky lawmakers want to start discussions now on who will receive millions of dollars in bonus money. Governor Beshear says essential workers should be paid bonuses from rescue plan dollars because they worked on the front lines during the pandemic. There's been questions, though, as to who will be included and how much they will be paid. Today, Democrats in the Kentucky House heard from several groups who want to be included. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what they had to say.
At issue is $400 million in American Rescue Plan money. The governor has already stated that he wants that money to be used on essential workers, those who either work directly with COVID-19 patients or worked longer and harder because of the pandemic. And today, a number of different organizations told lawmakers why they need to be included. Governor Beshear indicated this is an issue both Republicans and Democrats need to discuss as part of next year's budget. But members of the Kentucky Democratic Caucus in the House say the process needs to start now. Today they heard from nursing and firefighting organizations as well as those in law enforcement. The nurses talked about their serious staffing shortages, which was already bad before the pandemic. Firefighters shared horror stories of some quarantining themselves at their homes so they would not infect family members after their shifts. Despite that, they said almost 1,000 of 3,800 professional firefighters tested positive.
They said that the lack of sufficient nursing staff is the main reason that we're having the nursing shortage. 73% of the nurses said that. 41% said there's just not enough pay.
Every single call has been answered. There's been no reduction in service when it comes to your fire department. People didn't stop calling 911 just because the pandemic happened and they were in quarantine. In fact, in many cases, there was a massive uptick in calls.
House Speaker David Osborne released a statement this afternoon saying that they need to follow the normal legislative process, especially when it comes to appropriations and revenue issues, but that they would consider what this working group wants as well as what the governor wants. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
House Democrats will have another public hearing on the issue on December 15th. The holiday season is here and Christmas shopping is in full swing. During a busy but exciting time of the year, it's easy to get carried away, especially when shopping for Christmas gifts. Knox County Sheriff Mike Smith is encouraging folks to use safety precautions when hitting the malls or outlets this year, reminding us that even when you are in safe spaces, it's important to know your surroundings, especially when carrying cash.
Don't carry large amounts of cash. And, preferably use a debit or a credit card and keep those numbers logged down somewhere else in case you lose them or in case somebody gets those.
Sheriff Smith says if the information on your card does get stolen, to call your financial institution and have it canceled quickly so it doesn't ruin your holidays. We'll have more safety tips for Christmas shoppers coming up tonight at 6.
Well, after a gloomy, stormy morning around the mountains, some of us are breaking out into a little bit of sunshine as we close in on sunset here on this Monday afternoon. I-64 camera at Moorhead. You saw the overcast, the raindrops on the lens earlier. Now, we actually have a nice sunset shaping up around parts of the mountains. However, out front here in Hazard, well, we're seeing a little bit lighter in the sky, but otherwise still a little bit of that low cloudiness overhead. Temperatures in the mid-40s at best. A lot of us in those low 40s at the moment, and we've got 30s and even some 20s on the way before the nighttime is over. A couple of showers maybe on the Kentucky-Virginia border there where Letcher County comes together with Wise County, maybe even in the southeastern portions of Pike County. But all of this morning's action well off into the Virginias and the Carolinas and falling apart after a rather stormy morning. The good news is not too many damage reports from the mountains. However, there was that EF1 tornado that hit not far from Stamping Ground in Scott County, northwest of Lexington earlier today. Upper 20s overnight. Partly cloudy skies turning mostly clear, winds calming down, and that's what's going to allow those temperatures to plummet after sunset tonight, bottoming out in the upper 20s. But don't put away the t-shirts just yet because we have some more mild days ahead. I'll have those details coming up shortly here in the Weather Center. Steve?
Evan, thank you. From soldier pay raises to military construction, the $770 billion National Defense Authorization Act would increase military spending by around 5% this year. But the annual policy bill is hitting a few hiccups in Congress. Our D.C. Bureau reporter Kristen Casper brings us more.
For decades, the National Defense Authorization Act has passed annually through Congress with strong bipartisan support. But this year, despite both sides agreeing on its necessity,
this is how we fund the military. It's passed for 60 years.
We've not ever shirked our duty to provide for our military men and women to have the equipment that they need, the training that they need, their salaries.
But this year, despite both sides agreeing on its necessity, partisan tensions in the U.S. Senate are making a timely passage appear unlikely. The NDAA greenlights funding for defense-related activities, but since it is a large bill that's passed annually, it's often used as a vehicle for other legislative items.
What's happening now, it's really bitter.
Former Assistant Secretary of Defense Larry Korb says some proposals this year include requiring women to register for the draft and a push for a sexual assault and military justice overhaul. GOP members, however, are objecting because of proposals that they too want included, like a bill imposing sanctions on a Russian-backed natural gas pipeline. There's also a few liberal Democrats objecting because of the steep price tag.
To get that passed, you need 60 votes. The Republicans have opposed it, and some Democrats, because they don't like the amount of the budget, because the budget is actually higher than Trump had proposed.
It's still unclear which amendments the Senate will consider. Reporting in Washington, I'm Kristen Casper.
The House and Senate must pass an agreed-upon version of the bill to send to the president's desk for his signature. The Biden administration is going after corruption and illicit finance in real estate. Monday, the White House announced a new government strategy on those abusing vulnerabilities in the U.S. real estate market. The Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network is working on a potential rule that would target people who use real estate to launder money from criminal activity and those who abuse the market to hide their wealth. The Treasury Department is asking for public comment on the proposed rule. The head of a digital mortgage lender is getting heat after firing hundreds of workers on Zoom. Vishal Garg, the company's CEO, asked more than 900 employees to join him on a Zoom call, then told them their jobs were being terminated immediately. 9% of the company's workforce was laid off. According to Fortune magazine, the CEO later accused the employees of stealing from their colleagues and customers by only working 2 hours a day. The laid-off employees will get a severance and benefits. The relationship between social media and mental health has been the subject of a lot of debate. A new study that says depression and social media go hand in hand, and a JAMA Network survey followed a year-long look at social media use and onset of depression among nearly 5,400 adults, revealing depression status has worsened in some people. The risk increased with the use of 3 hugely popular social media sites: Snapchat, Facebook, and TikTok. Dr. Stephen Taylor, Chief Medical Officer of U of L Health, is reminding folks to think twice about what they see on social media.
The real us is not on display. Just something as simple as me posting vacation pictures could be so much meaning in there. I could be wishing that all of my friends were there with me, or I could be sort of narcissistically saying, look where I am and you aren't.
He adds the easy thing is to log off, but understands that might not always be possible, as social media is now a prominent part of many careers, like journalism, for instance, suggesting that when you cannot limit your screen time, be aware of how it is making you feel. Coming up on First at 4, a truck driver shortage is making supply chain issues worse, but one growing demographic is stepping in to bridge the gap between supply and demand.
And we're in a break from the rain right now, but more opportunities heading our way in the next 7 days. I'll have the full breakdown straight ahead.
WYMT News app offers alerts